Red Zerg player from Team Liquid. He is TLO.
Bottom left-hand side from Storm Gaming. This time it's Silky. Nice.
Okay,
this time I introduced him, and it didn't cause TLO's internet to die. It was a good improvement.
Yeah, well done, Wardy. But yeah, I mean, we do have kind of normal looking openings, hatch first and everything, and I feel like Eternal Empire. Maybe I've seen some 12 pool drone pulls or something, or like 12 pulls on this map. I feel like it's definitely the more rare one though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just long, right? And it's easy. There's only a couple of ways the drones can really go to avoid overlords, etc. So it's pretty tough in that regard. Yeah, I definitely think it's one where you just don't really expect much to happen. And again, it's also just such a good map for getting up to 3 bases. And if you do want to be aggro, like I say, you can be aggro with mutas, you can all in with a Nidus, and there's a lot of ways that those can work because it's a good map for playing macro on. Otherwise, your opponent gets baited into those macro-focused openers, and then it becomes a bit of a problem.
Yeah, that is always a really fun place to be, but not actually seeing any of that. We do have one major difference though, and that's just the, or I guess like kind of minor difference. The gas guys are taking a decent bit later there for TLO. I do wonder if that's going to signal kind of where he's planning to go with his tech compared to Silky, and even now only leaving 2 workers on gas. So Zergling speed, if he decides to go for that, will be a lot later. But we could actually see him do a full wall off or something here and just, or go Zergling speed, go straight up to the Roaches, or even the 2-base layer and Spire that we've been seeing from Zergs.
Yeah, I actually love ZVZ right now for the amount of variety in build orders. You know, it used to be back in Heart of the Swarm, it's Roaches versus Roaches, who would have guessed it? But nowadays, there's so much you can do, and, you know, Lurkers come into play versus Roaches. You can obviously play Lurkers after playing Hydras against Mutas. Just feels like there's so much variety, and it really makes it, for me, I think, one of the most fun mirror matchups at the moment. And, you know, it very rarely feels like you both just sat there, like, waiting for for them to both do the same thing. But even if they do, usually it comes with a little bit of Ling Bane pressure, and then it gets exciting as well.
I'm totally with you on all of that. I do want to know something kind of interesting is that, yeah, TLO just did forego Zergling speed. He's going to still add on the Baneling Nest, but if Silky catches wind of this, if he realizes after his Zergling speed finishes, like, wait a second, your few Zerglings are actually not getting Zergling speed right now. There's an opportunity for Silky to maybe put some extra pressure onto that 3rd base and use some good Baneling control to try and get some good connections.
On the other side, you could also argue that Silky could maybe realize, oh, you know what? You can't put any pressure onto me. So I can just go like mega macro, mega greedy, like load the drones. I think that might even be better because a couple defensive Banes are still going to be scary for Silky if he tries to attack with speed lanes. But obviously, if there's 0 counterattack potential from TLO, you can just drone like mad. And that puts you into a really good spot. There's the Rotron dropping down from TLO as well. He's already building into the lair. We'll see what he does with that Evo chain, because that really is the big telltale sign of where he's going to go, and it is going to be missiles. It did feel kind of, you know, without Ling speed, it feels very unlikely to be mutas. So Roaches, as kind of expected here. Silky going to do the same. The only thing for Silky is he obviously has the Ling speed, but his lair will be later, so he's going to be on a later Roach speed. So maybe a bit of an opportunity for TLO to be a bit more aggressive with Roaches initially.
Yeah, the Roach speed upgrade does allow you to push out a tiny bit earlier and still have the ability to retreat, especially if your opponent didn't get Roach speed quite as quickly because their lair was a little later. But yeah, their missile attack upgrades are going to be more or less timed. We do also see TLO going for the Overlord speed upgrade. And I feel like whenever I see this, I'm always thinking like, okay, first of all, it's nice for dodging Corrosive Biles and all that stuff and Overlords in the middle of the map. But most importantly, I feel like more Zerg players have been doing this and just adding on those drop Overlords, which I've been loving to see.
Yeah, it's been really fun, right? Some Bane drops sometimes, some Roach drops. That's very, very exciting. It's the sort of thing which really kind of allows you to set yourself apart from your opponent in terms of multitasking and stuff, right? And there's so much that one little drop can do. You know, you completely draw your opponent's attention away, and then you can either do major damage, or it can be the thing that draws attention away into getting into a big position with your army. So, yeah, you're right. It's definitely the sort of thing that's been really fun to watch lately.
All right, a few links for Silky poking on forward. They do see a pretty normal looking setup there from TLO, obviously identifying, if he hadn't already, that there was the good old lack of Zergling speed. We do have Overseer for TLO coming on in, and he does notice some Spore Crawlers that were already being made, but he's still going to slap down that Spire. It looks like, I mean, Silky is just hyper prepared for any kind of air tech, having Spores this early.
Yeah, he is. He's going to be very well set up against that. But obviously, the spores are super early, right? He's a bit afraid that this might have actually just been muted right off the get-go. He's actually caught a little bit off guard right now. This is the sort of thing where, you know, building those spores hurt. It's money invested, which isn't going to help you right away. It's drones that weren't there, so you're mining that little bit less. I feel like right now, TLO should maybe be a little cautious about continuing in. Upgrades are equal, and yeah, no rogue speed for Silky, but that just means that defensively, he just has to sit defensively. There's no chasing this army once it goes away.
Yeah, rogue speed seconds away from finishing here for Silky, but it's not quite fast enough to chase. So I have to say that was really, really nice. Killing 10 workers on the other side of the map, though, with a Baneling chop. Silky is going to be up actually about 10 workers after that.
Yeah, that's massive because TLO, this was really good for him, but then you lose 10 workers. That's 500 minerals to rebuild. That's a huge cost, especially when you're trying to make your first few mutas right now. He does have the roaches to push this little attack of Silky back. Mutas on the way. Let's see how well they can do. Obviously, this is looking to be just a small number of mutas into a follow-up kind of, you know, more roaches, as this Overseer gets a nice contaminate, slowing down +2 missiles.
Well, Silky's finally retreating back to the safety of his reinforcements there, so he will have that kind of defensive position. I do want to note, though, as the Overseer comes back in again for another scout, and of course, he's already known about the mutas coming for a little bit. It's worth noting that that fourth base that Silky's trying to establish right now, there's no real anti-air here. It does make me a little bit concerned. There's no creep spread connecting the bases. You can't transfer Spore Crawlers over there very easily. Even the queen count isn't exactly super high for Silky, so I feel like these mutas actually do have a decent opportunity to get something done for a bit before the Hydras pop.
And it's coming through. Overlord dodging away. Yeah, these mutas definitely have a little bit of time to get damage done. Not if they sit AFK. I don't know how they sat there without shooting anything for a moment. But gets the queen. The drone wanders back in as well. And honestly, these Ravagers should be prime targets. That's what I was initially expecting to be targeted. So, oh, he's going to try and fight the Hydras, but there's not really enough mutas. Okay.
Not really enough Hydras either, I guess, but a few mutas are going down. Silky trying to do some counter damage with the Roach run by. The Hydra is still very slow, especially off of creep. So they take some time to catch up, but it looks like Silky does push back the mutas for now and takes out quite a few of them, only 4 left over. That said, though, I mean, TLO has been pumping out nonstop roaches. He's not replenishing the muta count, and he does have a pretty substantial roach count lead right now. It's going to be about the Hydras adding an extra DPS for Silky.
Yeah, TLO's hitting at a beautiful time where it's just as the lurker deck kicks in, but he's not had a chance to add lurkers, right? So it's definitely that scary kind of moment or so where Silky's like, oh, I've spent some money on this and now I'm not getting them up, but it looks like he will start 3, and I don't think TLO really makes the fight before those lurkers are in play. So yeah, TLO, he is morphing Banelings, so he's looking to try and bust down like a wall of Hydras. Banes just aren't really that great against Roach Ravager Lurker though, so the Banelings here really are not going to be kind of what he wants them to be. I think he might have just seen the Lurkers, so you will be cautious about attacking in.
Yeah, I feel like this is the moment where you just have to kind of back off, right? Like, I feel like attacking into here, even if he goes for this massive surround, I'm a little bit skeptical, but we'll see. The Lurkers are not actually getting too involved in the fight now.
Yeah.
As Silky starts backing off, they will start firing off some payloads.
The bottom 2 only just start firing now, though, and they're actually clumped up, so very easy for TLO to get rid of them.
Oh my god.
Wow, I actually thought this was going to go better for TLO.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, Silky, I agree the 2 lurkers on the bottom side didn't do as much, but man, Morty, once the Banelings are gone, that's a massive drop in supply that you have.
Yeah.
Like you said, it doesn't actually kill the roaches, and then those lurkers just absolutely reigning supreme there with the AoE. Now Silky just charges across the map before TLO has a chance to really remax. It is a little bit concerning. A lot of his roaches are very low on hit points, but now the lurkers start getting burrowed. One lurker gonna get taken out. Did Silky start to overcommit here, or is this still an okay fight?
He's fine. He's got extra units showing up, and the Ravagers on the left side are very vulnerable. So if you get on top of them, they go down very quickly. Now, maybe, but it's only because his other reinforcements are being caught up and pulled away. And that's a really cute move. Imagine these 12 roaches are in that fight up on the high ground instead of chasing a Ravager and a roach that then didn't actually die until just now. So that's why TLO has been able to trade a bit better, because Silky's reinforcements got caught up, and that may have made it a little bit of an overcommitment. At the end of the day, he's backing off to a way better tech setup. Lurkers continue to come on through. And just before we forget about that big fight that TLO had, you mentioned the Bane's not doing much. I actually genuinely feel if those Banes were actually just more Roach Ravager, maybe that could have been the difference of just busting through there, right? Because his position was good. Lurkers didn't fight for a long time. Just TLO didn't realize what Silky was taking those Hydras.
I wholeheartedly agree with you there. Now, if these Ravagers start getting picked off, they're on the front lines right now. I'm really worried about TLO's ability to deal with the lurkers, because he has been relying on corrosive vials to snipe those off. He has been able to force these trades outside the range of the lurkers. Silky keeps poking on forward. Lurker's going to unburrow and reburrow a little bit more aggressively, and TLO is going to be forced to back off yet again, but he's taking some not so bad trades. Even has a nice little concave here. Oh, now it's not looking as good.
Yeah, as we do see units across the map from Silky trying to get some workers. I mean, that's great and all. I mean, unit numbers are kind of evening out. Of course, TLO, things are only getting worse for him with the lurkers. Now getting extra upgrades, adaptive talents coming through. We're going to talk about seismic spines very shortly. Obviously, that means Silky is hive tech. He still has +3 missiles. So things are only going to get worse for TLO's army composition unless he starts to change it up himself. But what is he really meant to do? I mean, a couple of Vipers are the right sort of step to take, for sure, but yeah, he needs to keep up with that. Okay, you know what? The couple of Vipers, I don't mind as much for TLO again.
Yeah, I was going to ask, when you see like this kind of army composition versus what Silky has, do you like to see more of just the abducts on the lurkers, or do you like to see more blinding clouds just on the big clump of units?
Okay, it really just depends on the fight, right? Like if you're gonna run in and commit, you just want a blinding cloud so you can get in without taking damage, maybe swing things in your favor that way. In a position like this, I feel like you don't run into that. So you just kind of look for the abduct on a lurker or two, and you just pick a couple off, and you kind of go from there. With 3 lurkers spread out, abduct might just be better anyway, but he's gonna drop it on the Roach Hydra, and that allows him to get forward into position, and then he is gonna surround himself the grab on one of the lurkers.
Yeah, and I really feel like Silky might want to morph in a few more lurkers over here. Oh, Roach Warren actually gets taken out over here and just now gets started back up here for Silky. Lurkers are also getting abducted. One lurker is still doing a lot of splash damage to this army, but it does eventually get taken out by the corrosive vials. Vipers are still alive here, and Silky will start to push TLO back a little bit, but I have to say his army is looking a lot worse for wear. He doesn't have too many roaches left over. Hydras and Ravagers, which do a lot of damage. They can still take a fight, but they really want that frontline buffer first.
These Overlords gonna take some major damage from those vials. Yeah, I mean, just a bit of excitement biling. TLO's army's cut off though, right? And that's an issue, especially if those Ravagers are in the front. A lot of Hydras in this army is Silky, so if he loses the Roaches, they start to die quick, but again, he's outnumbering here, so it's going to turn into a bit of a better fight for him as the Ravagers and the Roaches will continue to run on away down that right side.
Oh, these are really big losses, Wardy. I mean, yes, of course, TLO has been losing a lot of units during these fights, but the units he's kept alive for a lot of them were the Ravagers. I feel like it was mostly a lot of Roaches dying. Now with the Ravager count kind of being reset over here, I'm again worried for TLO. Yes, Vipers can abduct the lurkers, but he's also been heavily relying on corrosive vials to deal with them. And well, if Silky decides to turn any of his 24 Hydras into lurkers, I feel like there's going to be a big opportunity for him.
Roaches at TLO continuing back up to the top as he has to go running. Silky just maxed out, money in the bank. Gotta be feeling great. I mean, TLO's getting those lurkers of his own up, but they're just, it's too little too late, right? He's already going to lose his low ground base. In fact, he might not even get these lurkers up. There we go. 2 of them cancelled. 1 lurker is not really a concern. Silky might just, he might not walk up this ramp because he's going to be cautious, but he could walk up this ramp and win the game perhaps at this moment. So
Yeah.
walk up this ramp even better maybe if TLO's out of position, but he isn't. So again, Silky will kind of play it slow and steady.
I wouldn't have minded if he just waited a few seconds to kill the rocks, but you know what? Even just moving out of the blinding clouds, he gets his lone lurkers set up, and it's totally fine. Silky taking a massive supply lead.
Yeah, I was a little scared as Silky does get the GG out of TLO. I was a little scared about saying he should just commit up there and sort of go for it, because there is lurkers, right? And you never know when those lurkers just kind of turn things around, but no, it was just too much. It was too far gone. And TLO puts up a good fight, but Silky always seemed as though he was kind of like one step ahead. And he was always just ready to kind of deal with whatever TLO had next. The mutas really didn't do enough. You know, the mutas showed up and killed, what, a queen. They ended up getting a queen. They sniped a couple of hydras, but then you lost the mutas, right? So they're not a threat on the map anymore. And that means Silky's just like, cool, I've gotten rid of the mutas. There's no way you're building more, right? I see you're going roaches. So you just go straight into the lurk, and then TLO wasn't ready for that. And that was another huge set of losses. And that was kind of, I think at that point, the game was already kind of set in Silky's favor. TLO stays in it, but, you know, he's staying in it because he's maxing out on Roach Ravager, while Silky's maxing out on, like, Roach Ravager Lurker. So eventually, it's just a better army composition for Silky, which is getting upgrades off Hive and all the rest.
Yeah, the second that I actually saw Silky was adding on the spores before the Spire had been thrown down, I am totally with actually what you said earlier, where it did become a little bit scary because there was that attack that came in, canceled Silky's fourth base, and you're kind of like, oh, well, you know, these are not units that could have been made for this also. The spores could have come down later. But it was at that moment that I knew, I was like, you know what, Silky had enough after that Scarlet series. He was just like, I'm not going to lose to the mutas in that same way, where the mutas come in, they just start preventing me from moving out, and every single time that I do, I'm just losing everything, like, and I can't really expand. He's just said enough was enough with that. I'm just going to preemptively handle this, take a bit of a hit earlier, because I feel so confident in my Roach late game. And I feel like his Roach late game, as we saw, looks really good when he's able to get into the Roach Hydra Lurker composition. I actually think that it may be a bit tough if TLO decides to take it to that same style of game, at least with pure Roach Ravager. If he wants to take it to that kind of game again, I want to see TLO go to like Hydras and get his own lurkers up and that kind of stuff a bit earlier.
Yeah, I definitely agree, right? It's that sort of, that would definitely be the better way to go about it. It's just he was all in, I think. He like really expected the big Roach bust to win, and then it's like, you know, that it didn't, because, you know, Silky transitioned into lurkers. He didn't overbuild Hydras. The Banelings did nothing. That was obviously that big fight that lost out. Ice and Chrome, though, honestly, I mean, you can see mutas here again. It's a really big map, not just in rush distance, but also just in kind of like the fact there's bases everywhere, huge amount of, you know, attack pathways. So you've got a lot of counter attack potential. If you're going to play mutas, you're usually going with lings as well. So when I say mutas, I don't mean like what the mutas we just saw, but like really mutalist, like mutaling, a couple of Banes every now and again, something like that. That would be my prediction for Ice and Chrome as we start the countdown to get into it, Fear Dragon.
All right, it's game number 2. One other small thing I do also want to mention that I feel like Silky did very differently while anticipating the mutas, although it again wasn't like the mass muta you were talking about. But I remember in his series versus Scarlet, one of the other problems he had was he really didn't make very many roaches. He went extremely Hydra heavy. And then when Scarlet just made a bunch of Banelings and did that kind of roll in, which actually was a little reminiscent of that last game where a bunch of Banelings got made and they rolled in this series, the Roaches just absorb most of the Banelings. In the other series, his Hydras just get decimated. So I think I really like the adjustments Silky has been making.
Well, here he is in the bottom left side, up 1-0, looking to try and stay on top of this group. It is Silky.
And up here in the top right-hand side of the map, we have the red Zerg player from Team Liquid. He is TLO. Okay, got another hatch first opening for both players this game. No crazy shenanigans happening just yet. I do want to remind everyone that the last game, TLO did try to do something a little bit tricky there. And like do that quick tech up and everything, and it didn't end up working out, even though he kind of got away with it for a bit. And that was just the the skipping the Zergling speed while still getting up your fast third base and everything. I think that was kind of like a nice start there for TLO. It still didn't end up working out.
Yeah, it's kind of weird though, because he still invests into that Baneling nest, right? So it's you kind of save like 100 gas on the lings.
Did he make any Balings though?
Only much later on, right? So it's like you save 100 gas. It's just kind of a weird one, because yeah, you get the layer up earlier, and that did give him the roach speed, so it was a good stop. I don't think it necessarily put him like super far ahead, where like, you know, sometimes you see like you go no ling speed on 2 bases and you skip the third for a while, and then you go kind of like layer quickly with the roaches, and you kind of go, you know, roaches off 44 drones, then take your third, right? So, I mean, it's nice to skip ling speed, but it's just, I also just ask, how much did it really give versus how much safety did it give to Silky?
Yeah, that's a really good point. It definitely gives, like you kind of said in that last game, Silky the benefit of the doubt that, like, yeah, you know what? I don't actually have to worry too much about dealing with an attack, so I can also drone up safely and everything. But we are going to be moving into this next game, seeing what is going to be up. We got a double extractor cancel.
Yeah,
I feel like I've seen this a few times later on in the game, and I usually assume that it's maybe a little bit of a supply block, but you know, I could be wrong. This could be part of the builds.
Yeah, definitely not the norm. That's for sure. But in fairness, you kind of look at the numbers, and actually, it's pretty even across the board, right? I guess the only difference is TLO pulled out of gas entirely at 100, so he's not going to have a Baneling nest for a little while here. He's in fact just going to be on pure ling speed and pure Zergling. So a little something to keep in mind there.
Yeah, still adding on more drones though. So I feel like he's even starting out more drones. Okay, so I feel like this is not going to be a big ling flood or something with no Baneling nests and just trying to end the game here. As usually I think that would even coming out a few drones earlier, but Silky gonna still invest in that Baneling nest, still has his own Zergling speed finishing on up, and is just kind of playing a little bit more middle of the road, similar to last game.
TLO just ends up with that Bane nest so late, so it's just, again, kind of like skipping things. A little bit less gas mining initially means you mine more minerals, you get extra drones up. And Silky with that Evo Chamber. What do you think, Fear Dragon? You think he's just going to set up for missiles? Maybe Silky goes for a melee upgrade.
Yeah, you know, I could see it. I do think that Silky has some really, really good roach play. So I feel like, yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting out of him.
With the way I was
going to say, like, I think the way that Silky plays typically is that he does have the ability to be a little bit more versatile, but I feel like he typically isn't. Like, if he can play one style, I actually think he just plays that one style better than he does mixing up a bunch of different things.
I was gonna say with like the rest of the matches that he's played in the game so far, it definitely seems like he's just pretty happy sticking to roaches, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely makes a lot of sense. And TLO is gonna do the same, just he hasn't started up a missile upgrade yet as he gets that roach drone finished alongside the lair here very soon, taking a bunch of extra gases. So on 4 gases on TLO's side of the map. Silky is on 3 gases, but now taking a couple extra. So no, sorry, he's on 1 gas just now, taking 2nd and 3rd gas. A little bit of a difference there. TLO with a lot more gas. I mean, it feels difficult for Silky to afford any roaches at all at the moment. And there's TLO going to go to Aspire with roach speed, but no +1 missile upgrade this time.
Yeah, which definitely indicates that he's maybe looking to be a little bit less committed to the actual roaches. Still is going to, like you said, get up roach speed and everything. So has a few roaches coming up, but I almost feel like this could just be like the defensive roaches. You want to make them just in case, and they help deal with like these ling run bys and stuff. Silky gonna be able to get into the main base. Ooh, might get the money scout over here, and yes, he gets right in, sees that spire, even right clicks it down for a second and says, no, it's got too many hit points. Let's just do a little more running around. But Silky with the early scout can have an opportunity to react a bit to this and get up whatever kind of defenses he wants to, the same as last game.
Well, this is really, really nice for Silky so far. Like where he's at, the Spire Scout is huge. To the point where I wonder if TLO even wants to really, I mean, he will. He's not moving away, but look how fast this Hydrogen's going to be, right? By the time the mutants are across the map, Hydras are basically up already. Couple Banes hiding in that corner, and TLO is going to find them, so he can shut those down. I mean, that's nice, but it's also not something that Silky needs to be successful in this game right now.
Yeah, Silky doubles back in, sees the Spire, and also sees +1 flyer attack as being researched. Wardy, I feel like this is one of the biggest indicators that this is not a light commitment to the Spire. You're going, usually when a Zerg player goes for the +1 flyer attack for it, it's not 7 mutas. It's 12 mutas with continuously building onto them as long as they're getting some value.
Yeah, he started roach speed, right? And he canceled roach speed, right? So after starting it. So maybe a bit of a fake out there. So this maybe still is trying to look like the fact that it's like, you know, a roach into muta. But, you know, the more Silky scouts with this overseer, the more he's going to realize it isn't. The Baneling nest was wiggling, so he's getting Baneling speed. Yeah, TLO is getting figured out pretty quick, and Silky's doing all the right things. Adding that infestation pit on is only going to be amazing for him. He's already got a defense set up on the 4th base, and if you can hold 4 bases against this, that's going to be really spectacular. That's the sort of point at which TLO is already like, wow, you know, how I'm meant to outman you, I'm meant to out-expand you, but if you don't start out-expanding right away, that's a problem, and it's mutas that are going down, not the Hydras. 2 mutas for 1 Hydra, another point on the board for Silky.
Yeah, a really, really solid trade over there for Silky, and he's got 7 queens, or the 7th queen about to pop out. Pathogen Glands is being researched right now to just try and catch these mutas at a bad angle, or in hell, it can even actually be really useful when the big Baneling run-ins come in to try and connect with your Hydras. Let me tell you something, Wardy. Being able to fungal down the Banelings and just stop them in their tracks for a few seconds and slow them down before they connect with your massive Hydra clump, it can make a world of difference sometimes.
It really, really can, as these mutas swoop in from the bottom side of the map. They're going to go flying across through the main, across into the natural expansion, going back around in the main.
Oh, that's
and finally going to find some damage with these Mutalisks, but even then, it's an Overlord and 2 drones, and, you know, this is the sort of damage Silky kind of says, yeah, you know, this is fine, about to get Infestors on the map, some fungal growths available, and even these Queens going to have these Mutas somewhat pinned in a little bit, gets a couple of transfusions off, and losing some Queens, but again, it's always at the cost of Mutalisks.
Yeah, 2 more mutas end up falling over there. We've already seen 5 of them go down of the 17. I mean, TLO's almost lost a third of the, or like a fourth of the Mutalisks he's made so far. And there's a fungal actually catching some of these mutas. So 2 more go down over there. And we do see that TLO's trying to gear up for this good old Ling drop. Oh, it's actually not a Baneling drop. 3 Overlords loaded up. The weird thing is here, though, is that Silky's going to try and be prepared to deal with any mutas diving into the main base. So I feel like he should have his units on ready to move over the main, but he sees the mutas on the front, so he's willing to chase pretty far out. This is actually going to catch him very out of position. This
is really nice, though, I think. As long as Silky doesn't take too much damage from this Ling drop, the fact he's pushing across the map has got to be terrifying for TLO. He's morphing in Valence, but there's going to be Infestors to help out with that.
Okay, he right-clicks down the lair for a bit, had went after a Spine Caller for a bit. I think the TLO is honestly just busy with a micro on this side of the map. The Banelings are trying to connect with the Infestors, and the Infestors narrowly managed to escape out of here. A lot of the Hydra still alive, lots of fungal growth still available, and I feel like, oh, that's a lot of mutas, but there are just so many Hydras, and after the Banelings are gone, Wardy, there's nothing to protect these mutas. Well, okay.
Banes is fantastic. Yeah.
Wow, okay, I actually feel like the Hydras were attacking Overlords there as well. I really thought that Silky's going to get a little bit more done there, but he is still getting some more damage done with these roaches running around, but man, that was the engagement TLO needed.
It absolutely was. I think Silky bungled a few of his fungal growths as well. He missed a lot of the mutas with the fungals, and then he didn't save any fungal growths for when the actual scary number of Banelings came to his Hydras. He actually fungaled some Banes that were already on top of roaches, and because he had no fungals left for the final set of Banes, the Hydras had to kite. And because the Hydras were kiting, the mutas got so many kills for free. If you can sit there and just fight the mutas, the Hydras do win that fight. And that's kind of what you were saying. But those Banes were a bit too scary, and the Infestors were gone, out of energy. And that's allowed TLO back into this game a little bit. And Silky, you don't get opportunities like that against mutas a lot, where you get across the map and are able to force the fight without a counter on the way. That's a real missed opportunity there, unfortunately for him. See if you can turn it around from here.
Yeah, I feel like it's not just like a little opportunity. It's a big opportunity right here. Okay, that's a nice fungal. It's going to soften up the mutas. Oh my god, a chain fungal actually is going to be able to keep these mutas so low, but he loses the hatchery in the process.
I still like it though, because a few mutas went down, and the health of those mutas are very low. So now you're once again unable to really harass, and maybe it once more gives Silky the chance to get across the map
That's
and make
true.
something happen. But this time again, there's a lot of bane lanes, and the Infestor's out of energy because they just fungled the mutas. So can you really justify going across the map?
I
It's
feel
tough
like
because, yeah,
if he does, it's an all-in, right? Like, it's a
yeah.
100% all-in. He's already on 58 workers at this point. It's already a 3-base versus 5-base economy. But I mean, honestly, Wardy, like, the other end of this is the longer he lives gives TLO to wait around. Like, those mutas are going to regen hit points. The 5-base economy is going to be kicking in, and we're just going to see more banelings made.
Well, these roaches are just going to bring themselves across. I mean, this pulls the Mutalist back, right? Which is good. It buys you time, and it's denying mine. You're getting a few drone kills. The Hydras are going to make their way across. Maybe the Infestors have the energy to drop a couple fungals again. That's all you need, right? If you get the couple fungals on Banes, those Hydras can work wonders. But yeah, they're going to back off, especially with the roaches going down. It means the Hydras are just on their own. There's no front line for them at all.
Exactly. That's what I'm really afraid of right now for Silky, is that he used all the roaches to do that counterattack damage, which was great. He killed off 9 workers, denied mining at the 4th and 5th bases. But yeah, now the Hydras are off on their own. They really do need either more fungals available, or he needs more roaches. But well, catches a bunch of the banelings before they can roll into that 3rd base. That's important. But now the Lings killing off the 4th base. Oh, that's brutal. Silky really needs a 4th base.
Yeah, he really, really does. It's the one thing that this style is meant to be very good at, and it was one thing that Silky did so good earlier, right? I mentioned it again, that 4th base already fantastic, but now he is struggling to get it back up and to keep it alive. Yeah, and TLO's making the switch in toward Ultras as well. There's the fungal you kind of need, but the Infestor got caught, so it gets killed off. He drops a fungal on some mutas. How many does he actually kill? He changed the fungal. Again, then I get worried about it. I feel like I'm obsessing over it, but now I'm afraid about the Banes. And the hatchery goes down once again. So once more, no 4th base.
Yeah, I almost would not hate if there was like a wall over there over that 4th base. Oh god, this hatchery is also getting focused right down. While the banelings distract the Hydras. The Hydras do manage to survive, but the hatchery is gonna fall. And that is a fully all-in position here for Silky. Like, there's no way you can just sit back on 2 bases and say, let me just wait a few minutes. But Ultras are on their way out right now, Wardy. That's an interesting play. Without Chitinous play, I feel like there's still maybe a window here.
I feel like it's the right play a few moments from now, but now that TLO's kind of forced Silky all in, these Ultras kind of need to be here with Chitinous already, right? In the first one, you can just see what's gonna happen basically without Chitinous. Well, the Banelings are gonna come in though, and the Banes are gonna get so much damage done. That's just gonna do it. TLO. Ooh, that was fun.
Yeah, taking control in the pacing of that game, really, really able to solidify that 1-1 tied up score. I believe we're going to be going to a break, guys, and we're going to finish off with game number 3 in just a little bit. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're moving into game number 3 here after an exciting way for TLO to tie up a series 1-1. We're moving on to Everdream, our favorite ZVZ map, Wardy. Isn't it our favorite?
Yes, I love 12 pool drone pulls. They are exhilarating.
Never gets old. Never gets old. All right, Wardy, do we see a 12 pool no. Drone pull? Because I don't think we see it either. Because I feel like, so for those who don't know, Panda Bear, me, and Silky created the original wall off on this map with like the whole hatchery cancel and all that stuff. Silky is a master of it. TLO is definitely going to be the kind of player who would know how to do it properly. I'm looking forward to it.
We were wrong, Ravi.
No.
We are going to see a 12 pool. Interesting then.
All right. Well, we're going to be starting up here. Top right-hand side of the map on top of the blue Zerg player. He is Storm Gaming Silky.
Well, pulling us up in the bottom left-hand side from Team Liquid, it's TLO.
Okay, where does that spawning pool come down, Wardy? It's a hatch first, of course. That's kind of to be expected. But I'm just wondering, does Silky prepare for the 12 pool drone pull? I see him rallying a drone over to the location where you normally create the wall off. I saw him, I think, click for it.
Yeah, that's the real moment of truth, right?
Yeah,
he goes expected. Here we go.
So now it becomes super important that TLO tries to either evade the overlords so that Silky doesn't have time to do the wall, or that Silky just doesn't wall off properly in time.
That's the gamble, right? It's like, please don't wall off. Please don't wall off.
But there it is.
Well,
he scouts it.
He's just going to go straight through the centers. This way, Silky should be able to prepare for it.
So you're going to see the way that this works is you build a hatchery. It's not going to be misplaced. It creates creep there. And then you immediately cancel and build another thing there. You build a hatchery there. That's the full wall. I'm telling you, I'm really surprised to see TLO try this because Silky literally was one of the people that helped invent this wall off.
Yeah, the problem is this is just such a huge slowdown, right? As TLO did not seem to realize that this was going to go wrong because the drones went the wrong way as well. And this is a horrible spot too because there's no way you can like mineral click to get the drones to like drill through on the hatchery or anything. There's cancel, drones are in, they'll finally start spines, but lings are already popping for Silky. So that's a huge delay. He's already got 2 of his own spines over halfway done. This is not a pretty spot for TLO. The only thing I'd say is, but no, actually I wouldn't say anything. I think it's just a horrible start for TLO.
Yeah, I mean, there's actually 0 resources lost on Silky's side, and TLO's, well, I guess he's had the resources lost for the cancels and everything, but here we go. Spinecrawlers are already burrowing aggressively right in front of TLO's, and TLO's trying to run, but there are just so many lings already here for Silky. Oh, we'll see.
Oh, well, the lings of TLO are doing a really good job. He has a way better ling count. His lings took a really good fight, and now he's going to out-spinecrawler his opponent. One of the spines isn't really in range, though, but then the spinecrawler of Silky is still burrowing. Are we actually going to see spines versus spines? I mean, that's the way. The thing is, the spines of Silky can only be in so many places, and he had no mining for such a long time, so he's got no lings on the way. Drones try to pull in to help this fight, but the lings are making short work of the drones. TLO's going to make it work, I think, Fear Dragon. He is going to win that spine fight on the top side, though, and there is transfuse energy on the queen, but now it's 2 spines versus 1 at any point.
Oh, and at this point, Wardy, it's 3 drones for both players mining right now. Silky's only mining with 3 drones, and TLO's only mining with 3 drones. And that the spine crawlers are actually in range of the larva. He's right-clicking down the larva, Wardy. Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah, it's kind of the right call as well, because that's the way you deal immediate damage. You don't need to kill the hatchery because you know you're mining more because you're droning, because your drones have mined without any issue. Oh, TLO, he made it work.
Okay, Wardy, let me ask you, do you try and kill the spawning pool, or do you just keep going for the larva and just go for the hatchery afterwards?
Yeah, you just go for the larva and the hatchery, right? Theoretically, you just never get anything up here as Silky unless he fights into it, which, well, yeah, I mean, he's going to have transfusions, but he has to burrow his spine in range of the other spines, so...
Yeah,
I think the spines just keep on the larva and the hatchery, and then you let the lings take the spawning pool slowly but surely. I mean...
And there it is.
Silky doesn't even try it. GG.
Wow.